Hello, and welcome back for part three. This is the final of the series Intentional Living for the Awakened Leader. And I'm Jennifer Regular, the Soul Illuminator for Lighting the Path. And I wanted to just share that if you had missed the first video, or just as a reminder about the first video or recording, that was about supporting you to realign with your mission and purpose. In part two, we looked at how you can start directing your life and embody leadership. Now, in part three, I want to support you in refocusing your time and energy so that you can really begin to experience living life more deeply, with more vitality, with deeper connection, reclaiming your spiritual sovereignty so that you can experience more joy and happiness in your life and have more life satisfaction. So just take a moment right now and check in. You can close your eyes if you'd like to. Sometimes that helps in being able to turn inward and just ask yourself, am I happy? And maybe you are. So then start to examine, what is it that's making me happy right now? What's bringing me joy? And really acknowledge and appreciate those things. And you can even say, thank you, bring me more. And if the answer is no, I'm not feeling happy right now, then what is it that's getting in the way? And also take a moment to notice what not being happy feels like in your body and what being happy feels like in your body. This is a way to start embodying those emotions and those feelings and recognizing what feels best for you. Sometimes we can get addicted to those feelings of anger, despair, helplessness, and loneliness. And sometimes we can get more expanded, more alive when we experience more joy and happiness. And then you can start practicing discernment when you're moving through your life, experiencing different situations, different tasks, and noticing, does that expand you or contract you? And then you can actually focus on the things that you want to attract into your life, that you want to experience more of. The more you have those feelings, the more you condition yourself to experience those kind of feelings more and more. And you start attracting that kind of vibrational support into your life. But if you're wanting to stay on some subconscious level, because I know you wouldn't choose this consciously, in that place of loneliness, fear, because it might feel safe. Maybe it's a way of feeling hidden and not having to put yourself out there. There could be an unconscious threat of putting yourself out there. I had a very real threat of putting myself out there. When I left my husband back in 2006, it was quite a tremulous situation, hostile situation. He had held the house hostage and all of my things and had taken a lot of who I was too in the relationship. And deciding to leave was the one part, but then knowing where I can go and still be safe was a whole different story. And I was led by spirit, as I see it, to the next steps, to the next place, because a decision was made in that moment to reorient myself to how I actually wanted to be living my life. And I knew that way wasn't it anymore. But he had also threatened my life. So when I got back into wanting to put out my website and start doing healing work again, when I had my business called Enlightened Wellness, then it was threatening for me to put myself out there, literally, because then he would know how to find me. And yet I felt compelled to do it anyway. And that's what I talk about when I talk about spirit helping us direct the life that we're meant to live, or being soul led, because taking those steps and trusting the process of life, trusting our calling, trusting our mission, then we can also know that we're supported in that and we'll always have the support and resources we need to fulfill our life mission. And so I did that. And thankfully, it was safe for me to be able to do that. And I want you to know that you too are safe to be putting yourself out there, whether it's imposter syndrome that's holding you back, whether it's feeling, that you're not good enough or that you're not ready yet. You are ready as soon as you start taking the next step. You might not have it all figured out yet, and it's probably better that you don't because it could actually turn out way better than you had ever expected. And there were other parts of my life too that led to different decisions, different ways of being and living in the world. In my last position, I was a live-in caregiver. It was actually the 16th job that I had and far removed from my original intention when I went to university 30 years ago, thinking I was going to become a clinical forensic psychologist, and I had that vision in my mind. I could feel it, I could experience it, I saw it happening, I knew all the right courses to take and the connections to have. And that's not what ended up happening. And so we have to leave some space for other possibilities and even play with the question of what else is possible when things don't turn out as expected. No matter what kind of effort we put into something or thinking we know what we're here to do, there might be something even better than that. And you always want to leave some room for that. And an awakened leader knows to trust that process and to follow how their soul is leading them, where their spirit is taking them, rather than a push and try to make something work. That's really important, that you allow yourself to direct the life that you're meant to live. And you can free your spirit to do that when you open up to a better life, a better way of being, one that supports you, one that is most nourishing and productive for you, one that produces joy and that really lights you up. Because what lights you up is giving you that feeling of being alive. And so intentional living is consciously choosing how you want to be showing up in the world and allowing yourself to become who you came here to be, and allowing soul to direct you in doing what you came here to do. And so I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I think I did mention at the end of part 2 that I offer you a 30-minute Pathfinder session. If you want to explore those possibilities in an intuitively guided session where I connect soul to soul with you, we can look at those next steps. We can look at the vision and ideas that you're innovating, that you have in mind, and that might produce some uncertainty because it's never been done before. It's coming through you. And having that inspiration is what drives you, what fuels you, what moves you, and what your I is, that soul's expression to pass on into this lifetime. So in that session, we talk about how to do that. So I'll leave a link in the show notes for you to be able to have that, or you can ask for it in the comments. But that's what I mean about refocusing what you came here to do. So in that live-in caregiver position that I had, it completely drained me. And it was during the lockdown and COVID too. And so I wanted to make a difference with the woman that I was serving. And I thought having a deeper connection and living with her and supporting her and providing for her would really make a difference. And it did. And she made a huge difference in my life too, opened my soul in ways I couldn't even imagine. And that's what I would call a divine assignment. I knew as soon as I saw the posting that this was someone I felt soul connected with. It was kin. And but being a live-in caregiver with someone with multiple issues wasn't a goal that I had set out to do. I was just looking for somewhere to land in the meantime while I was trying to reestablish myself again. There's a quote by Maya Angelou that I actually have a little hug up somewhere. And it's a woman who reinvents herself daily, shows sublime creativity. And that's me. I'm always reinventing myself because we are constantly evolving. And it's not about being flaky, it's about being multi passionate. And I mentioned in previous recordings in this series that there's many skills and abilities we pick up on and gather along the way, but it's then finding what's most potent in us. So this job, this live-in caregiver position, really exhausted me, and I was falling into the ways that I was told needed to happen. There was a lot of attention needed on programming and productivity and performance, where my values were more about health and well-being and supporting one's autonomy. And so there was a real values conflict, even though the outcomes might appear the same in terms of what the family wanted and what I wanted for this individual. But our approaches, our values are filtered in the way that we approach things. And because it wasn't me and my spirit that was guiding that, it drained me. It wasn't a good fit anymore. And I had to make a decision whether I was going to keep waiting and seeing whether things changed, or, in acknowledging what I was grateful for. I wasn't acknowledging what else is possible, what could be even better than that. And once I made the decision to leave, then everything else fell into place. And it also supported the best outcome for everyone involved, because in staying true to myself, it was digging into depth and truth of the situation and what would really best support everyone that was involved. And I hear this a lot with people too that have made wedding vows, and sometimes the relationship hasn't turned out the way that they intended in their marriage, and then they struggle to try to make it work. And you really need both partners to do that. And then it's re-looking at who and what are you truly committed to? And are you staying true to yourself? Or are you just trying to make something work that just isn't anymore and having trouble accepting that? Or what's needed to allow the conditions that would support a happy, healthy marriage, for example? And in the same with business, I've had many different business ventures as well. Probably at least 5 that I could think of in the top of my head, all seeming great ideas at the time. And I was really committed to the success of those businesses. But as I got into it, I realized what was and wasn't in alignment with what I valued and what I truly wanted to be doing and sharing with the world. And that was one way. But then I started seeing better ways, because as a thought leader, as a creative, as a visionary, that's what happens. We get inspired with new ideas, new ways of being, new ways of doing as we evolve. And we're not operating at the same frequency that we did in the past. And so to allow the space for change and transformation and transmutation to happen, that's very important. So reorienting yourself, focusing back on your time and energy as it exists right now within you, and allowing yourself to direct the best life that you can be living. So looking at what is the soul of your business, and is it in alignment with your current values, passions, and interests? Is that passion driving you, or are you feeling obligated that you gotten yourself into this now and you're stuck in it? Now you need to stay in it. You don't, actually. You can make a decision. You have the right to change your mind and refocus and bring yourself into alignment with who you are now and the way you want to be directing your life now. And so, again, allow that to absorb. Allow this to guide you in your next steps. And if you need some support in that, then go ahead and book that 30-minute session. No cost. This one's on me, and allow me to support you in that. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. And if you did miss parts 1 or 2, you can go back to that. The recordings are there. And again, I welcome you with any comments and questions. I am happy to support you in any way that I can. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.